You could be any race other than the one you are, which would it be?
That's a great question. Black?
What is your current race?
I'm white.
What is one thing that you take pride in about being white?
There's a lot I look down upon being white.
What is something that you appreciate about black culture?
I just went to a recent concert that had a lot of black artists that I think are extremely inspiring. A lot of what they rap about is something that I cannot experience firsthand, and I'd like to understand it better. And part of that understanding, I don't think I will achieve because I'm white.
Person would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society. Please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen for others.
You could be any race other than the one you are, which would it be?
And I can't remember what this one person said. Until you walk 2 miles, in my moccasins, you can't really judge me. You can't really say who I am. And there was a guy, actually, he made himself look black and went around to experience what a black man feels. And he was appalled. So, he knew firsthand by walking like 2 miles in their moccasins what they're actually experiencing. So it really changed his point of view about things. A lot of us are insulated from what happens on an everyday basis with somebody or an individual strictly because of their color. But if we did, we would have a whole different attitude towards a lot of things.
Black community was right. And they've always been right. And if we could push aside, the Latino community, we could push aside our racism, our colorism, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here because they have been warning us about what's going on, and your empathy was not there for the black community. It wasn't. So now that it's happening to us, now you get it. Now you see where they're coming from. Now you see the similarities. And I really hope that there comes a time where my people truly wake up, because the black community is fucking strong. They're smart. They have learned their history. And they tried to tell us, they tried to teach us. Black women have tried to tell us, 92%ers tried to fucking tell us. Granted, I listened, my ears were open, but a lot of my Latino community was like, okay. And I truly hope that, yes, it sucks that we are here and that things are so ugly, but I hope that we are learning and we're growing, and it's okay to be wrong and to admit it and to try to do better next time. Next time we vote, next time something happens to somebody who is part of the black community, because now we know what the fuck it feels like.
Okay, since no one's going to say it, I'm going to say it. Let's just call it what it is. This Trump administration isn't some showcase of brilliance or strategy or moral authority. It is a showcase of white mediocrity, broadcast for the entire world to see. If you think about it, they scream about being the greatest. They scream about being the smartest, the most patriotic. But when the spotlight hits them, what do we see? Corruption, incompetence, lies stacked on top of lies. A government so insecure it has to redraw maps, it has to silence voters, it has to attack its own citizens just to hold on to power. And the world is watching. Countries overseas are looking at America, shaking their heads saying, this is America? This is what we were told was the standard for democracy? Because for centuries, whiteness carried itself alongside, synonymous with excellence, while dismissing black and brown excellence as inferior. But Trump's administration has blown that myth to pieces because globally, people see it now. Whiteness in power doesn't guarantee wisdom. It doesn't guarantee justice. It doesn't even guarantee competence. All it guarantees is access. Access, handed down through a rigged system that protects mediocrity as long as it wears the right skin. So let's be clear. This ain't about every white person. But it is about the fact that Trump has exposed the truth, that the old story of white superiority was never superiority at all. It was all smoke and mirrors. And now the smoke has cleared. So what comes next, right? If America wants respect on the world stage again, it won't come through Trump. It won't come through clinging to whiteness. It will come through honesty, justice, and multiracial democracy that values talent, not skin. Because the global stage just learned what we've always known. When you strip away the privilege, white mediocrity can't hold a candle to black excellence.
We were right. We were right. For decades, Black people in America have been shouting from the rooftops about how cancerous white supremacy would be to America and to the rest of the world. And now that it has infiltrated and is literally sucking the oxygen out of the planet, people are finally starting to wake up to the reality that we've been talking about for decades. But the one thing about it is now since everybody sees it, this is the point in history where it changes.
When white people see my posts about racism in America, frequently they say, I didn't know. When Black people see these comments, they say, we already know. There is no way you didn't know. Don't pretend you didn't. This disconnect is really hard to explain, and I've been trying to understand it myself. I'm going to be digging into this really deep because I think it's so important. It's not that we're just oblivious white people. It's that we've been groomed to be oblivious white people. People point out that it's not like this stuff is locked in some vault somewhere. It's available. You can see it. And that's true. But we were trained not to ask questions. We were trained not to look for it. And I see it in my family. I see it in my circle of friends, even some of my friends that are pretty progressive. We have this ingrained training to not ask too many questions. We were taught to trust authority figures, teachers, ministers, police officers, politicians, the anchor guy on the evening news. We believed them because we were groomed from childhood to believe that they were trustworthy. We were not taught that the system itself, the system they were part of, was designed to protect itself first. And frankly, it felt good just to trust them. It's like you had this permanent mommy and daddy figure. It made life feel safe. The gaps in white knowledge were filled in with lies. We were told that poor people were lazy, that's why they're poor. That crime existed in Black neighborhoods because they were Black neighborhoods. That broken families cause poverty. These ideas were not questioned. They were treated as common sense. And we were started with our grooming as infants, as little tiny babies, as little bitty kids that are impressionable and just forming our ideas about the world. So that was our social foundation. We were told that Black people can't keep their marriages together. I was even told that the reason they couldn't keep their marriages together was because of how they were treated during slavery. So out of one side of their mouth, they'd say, wasn't that horrible that families were split up during slavery? But now that has just become part of who they are. And so it's their fault. I don't know, it didn't make sense to me either. We also were not told that welfare benefits were not available if there was a man in the house, a Black woman working 2 jobs who still needed support to raise her children, could not have a husband or partner living in the house with her. And of course we were taught that that was their fault because they couldn't keep their marriages together. As we were growing up and we started to repeat these beliefs, we were seen as respectful and well-adjusted. I don't know, are you getting pissed off? I'm getting pissed off just going through this again. We were guided by the TV news and movies and TV shows to care when white people suffered and to disconnect from the pain of other people. We were taught to feel patriotic about our country without questioning whether they were being truthful with us about why we should feel such patriotism. When we asked those white authority figures that we were taught to trust, we were lied to. Now, when Black people give us honest answers, we don't fully trust them. It's not about ignorance, it's about conditioning. My education is in behavior analysis, and that's how that works. You just expose someone to a social system that supports a certain line of thinking, and you fall for it, especially if you are started out as a young kid being taught all that stuff. And that's what happens to all of us. We were taught that silence is polite and that truth about society is rude or inappropriate. And as a girl that went to a fundamentalist Christian church, that was even more so. You don't ask questions that are going to make people uncomfortable. But that comfort, you see, it kept us obedient. It kept us from asking too many questions. It kept us from wanting to do anything about it because we didn't fully understand that there was something that needed to be done. We were used to preserve a system that depended on our own silence. It kept us from befriending Black people. It kept us from knowing what the hell we thought we knew about those people. So when white people say, I didn't know about any of this, understand what that really means. We were trained not to look. We were trained to believe the stories that we were told by the authority figures. We were shaped by a system that used your trust against you. We were trained to look away. And now we have a choice. White people, we need to get angry about being kept in the dark all these years so that together with our Black neighbors and neighbors of all races, we can break down this oppressive system that has brought us here to the point of fascism. Check the caption for some documentaries to help you get started learning. We need to really get curious.
It's so weird watching Black people get mad at white people for starting functioning white communities.
Yeah, we don't care, dog. We don't give a flying fuck. Like, there's a lot of white audacity this week. Like, you guys are sitting around making up these narratives that we care about whites only towns. Mind you, one of these towns are in the mountains. Black people not going up there. We are not going up there. As a matter of fact, thank you. Thank you for telling us where it's going to be, because that's where we will not be. Okay, we can duck and dodge that town. We won't even stop in that town for gas. And the crazy thing is, historically, Black people have never cared about white people making white-only towns. Never. Now, if we're sitting there and you think that we're going to move out of our house or anything like that, then you got another thing coming. But you going off on your own, we've never pillaged white towns before. We've never done what they did to Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've never done that. Black people specifically have never done that. We've never gone into white communities and just pillaged. So it's not us that care. It's y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's why this is viral. This is viral because you want some type of feeling from Black people. And we're going to say the same thing in every video. We do not care.
So you would vote for Donald Trump in a third term?
Yeah, I think I would.
And what do you think about the Constitution?
I'm a constitutionalist.
What about the 22nd Amendment that would prohibit him from running for a third term?
Yeah, it would bother me, but
But you would still get your vote.
You would still get my vote.
I was just thinking about something about the difference between Republican-run states and Democrat-run states. Let me know if you've thought about this, and if you are a MAGA, what's your response? Imagine if blue states had a 40% higher murder rate than red states. Imagine if blue states were only 29% of America's economy and red states were 71%. Imagine if 9 of the top 10 states to get federal welfare benefits from the government, these handouts, were blue states. Imagine if 9 of the top 10 states for maternal mortality and infant mortality were blue states. Imagine if 9 of the top 10 states for gun violence and gun death were blue states. But you know why you never hear Republicans cite those statistics? Republicans scream about law and order, but have a 40% higher murder rate than blue states. Republicans scream about the economy, but 71% of the economy is from blue states, only 29% from red states. Republicans claim they despise the federal government, but 9 of the top 10 states to get federal handouts are red states. Republicans claim guns make us safer, but 16 of the top 17 states with gun violence and death rates are GOP states. Republicans claim they are the party of pro-life, but 9 of the top 10 states for maternal mortality and infant mortality are Republican states. So Republicans and MAGAs, here's my very simple question to you. Everything you claim your policies will do, our policies actually do. So my question is, what exactly are you fighting for?
Poverty in the South makes people just wait to die. And I don't mean that in a depressed, oh, I'm going to kill myself sense. No, I mean there's nothing there for them. From buildings to life experiences to hospitals, there's just nothing there. They are simply waiting every day for death to come take them. There's no eventfulness. There's no fun. It's you wake up and just exist. Painfully, brutally, and isolated with nothing but the community that you have. And then once that community's gone, it's just you waiting to die. Because there's such a lack of investment that people understand in cities. In cities, you get stimulation. You get faces, you get things. That's not a thing in the rural South that people don't understand. You are poor if you're from a poor state. It doesn't matter how rich you are, because the services are generally offered by the state, and that determines the quality of it. So if you're in Louisiana, and you're poor in Louisiana, there's nothing to do other than wait for the release of death.
When you listen closely, there's a lot of complaints. And one of the things that makes it even, surprising is that all of them sound familiar across different communities. Gas prices feel too high. Groceries that used to be manageable now take a serious bite out of people's income. Rent, utilities, healthcare, everything seems to...
Man, I'm not gonna lie. This one had me laughing at first, and then it got real uncomfortable real fast. The whole non-practicing white phrase sounded like a joke when I first heard it. And I thought people were just being sarcastic online. But then, hearing people seriously debate it, I mean, what the hell is going on right now? What the hell is going on? What are you guys debating all about? Non-practicing white? What the hell does that even mean? I had to pause for a second because I was like, man, this doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't. Because are we actually turning accountability into a brand now? That calls for concern. It's crazy. And that's where I got conflicted. I respected some of the people admitting racism is systematic and saying white people should actually speak up when they witness discrimination. That part mattered. But then some folks started acting like simply announcing, I am one of the good ones, deserves applause. That made me uncomfortable. You don't get a trophy for doing the bare minimum of treating people like human beings. We are all humans. I can't give you a trophy for a white, or I can't reward a white for treating a black man as a human being, or it's as if it's a privilege for a white man to treat a black man. Now, we are all equal. We are all the same. So for someone to stand out and feel entitled or feel that they need to clap for you since you treated a black man respectful, it's insane. It doesn't make any sense. And the Polish identity conversation, I mean, that got messy. I understand some of the frustration around people reducing identity to just white or black. But at the same time, you can't ignore how race operates in America just because your personal ancestry feels more complex. Reality doesn't disappear because it feels inconvenient. And honestly, the people talking about deconstructing their own biases instead of trying to sound safe felt way more genuine to me. At the end of the day, labels don't impress me. Actions do. As we all know, action speaks louder than words. How you treat people when nobody's watching says more than any TikTok slogan ever could. Because right now, or in this our generation, the videos that we see online, we see people pretending to treat black folks equally, but behind the scenes, or we still see the same black folks saying how whites discriminate or how racist they are. So what does that say? Yes, I will admit that there are some white folks who believe in equality, who believe that whites should be treated the same way as blacks should be treated. But there are so many out there who ignore a lot of things, and they are all racist. Let me know where you stand on this, because I know opinions are gonna be all over the place. So make sure that you drop your comments in the comment section below. And I'm grateful for you watching this video to the end. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, and turn on your notification, because we'll be dropping more updates like this. Thank you once more, and see you in the next video.